Hello everyone, welcome. I wanted to share a message on the current energies that we are going through right now. There were two themes that came in. This video may be longer than 15 minutes, so if you're watching this on Instagram, head over to my YouTube channel to watch the rest of it. So there are two themes that many of us are experiencing right now, or that my guides wanted to remind us are occurring, which is a slowing down. We are slowing down in everything that we're doing. And it's uncomfortable for a lot of humans because we are programmed to go, 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 do, be, be. And yet when we start shifting into higher states of consciousness, there is this massive amount of quieting that occurs, a desire to stop, to slow down, to rest, to just learn how to be. And the second theme is remembering how to exit the matrix. And those two go hand in hand. So I first want to go into what does it mean to exit the matrix. Okay, so first of all, what is a matrix? A matrix is the way that you view and experience a dimensional field that your physical form is standing and anchored in. Okay, your reality. So every dimensional field holds a spectrum of consciousness. And in that spectrum of consciousness, there are ways of being and a magnitude of experiences to be had, including emotions and thoughts, paradigms, programs, behaviors. There's all kinds of stuff, right? And the matrix is sort of the field that we're in that holds it, right? So it all looks like it's like this matrix that we're in. And of course, because we are living and experiencing this in a quantum field, this is not the only reality. This isn't the only dimensional field that we can anchor ourselves into. And this isn't the only matrix. So every dimensional field holds a matrix. There's nothing wrong with a matrix, okay? It's just a word to use to describe how you're going to view and experience a dimensional field. Now, the important piece that's occurring for so many of us in 2020, which is clarity, clear sight, right, is being able to see the matrix. What does that mean? It means that you start to see and observe yourself in it, walking around in this dimensional field, playing in it. Oh, look at the programs I'm in. Look at the paradigms that I believe. Look at the thought patterns that I still believe about myself and this world and other people, whatever that is. Look at the emotions that I attach myself to and tell myself that I am, right? Now, let me preface this by saying that exiting a matrix doesn't mean that you do not remain the human that you are, okay? You are becoming multi-dimensional, which means that you are all aspects of you in the now, which means that you are a human aspect in this 3D matrix, and yet you are also other dimensional fields vibrating in other dimensional matrices. And you start to tap into those as you begin to increase the frequency in your form, which happens naturally, right? We call that ascension. So tapping into your higher self is tapping into a different matrix. Tapping into an I am presence that is part of you is tapping into another matrix. Moving into a fifth dimensional field and a fifth dimensional consciousness is tapping into a different matrix. So in every now moment, you could be experiencing a myriad of matrices. It's becoming aware. It's having 20/20 vision. It's being able to see, right? So when you step out of the third dimensional matrix, you are also still in it, right? So you're not making it bad or good, right or wrong. Like, oh, you better get out of that matrix. That matrix isn't good for you. Well, that's holding duality still. And the funny thing about that is that that statement is held in that matrix, right? So when you hear people say, make sure that, you don't want to be in that third dimensional matrix, or the matrix isn't good for you, or whatever that is, good, bad, right, wrong, any judgment on any experience is held within that matrix. So we want to start to observe things just in a neutral zone, right? Like, wow, I'm in a 3D matrix. How can I start to observe myself out of that matrix so that I'm watching myself play in it, knowing that I'm shifting into other matrices at the same time? And how do I not, and how do I stay detached as I'm in it? So what this looks like is you're going about your day and you watch yourself start to play in paradigms or programs that are part of this matrix, right? Which can be anything. It can be a scientific type of paradigm. It can be an environmental paradigm. It can be a paradigm that is associated with work ethics and the way you're supposed to work and the way you're supposed to make money. It can be a paradigm around the way relationships work, right? Paradigms frame our experiences. They tell us like the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things. And there's a many different types of paradigms that you can play in. Can you start to recognize yourself playing in them? The reason you want to do that is because it allows you to exit out of the paradigm even while you're in it, and you start to observe outside of it, separating yourself from the matrix. Why is this important? Because you do not become attached as if you are it. We exit a matrix reminding ourselves that we are not that which we are experiencing. We're not the emotions or the thoughts or the beliefs or the programs or the behaviors or the addictions or the abuse or any of it. We're not. We're experiencing it in a human form within this third dimensional matrix, perhaps fourth dimensional matrix, perhaps fifth dimensional matrix, but we're always just experiencing it. We are not it. And part of the human suffering in that matrix, 3D matrix, is that we believe that we are that which we're experiencing, which creates the suffering. And so exiting a matrix requires us to begin to see ourselves playing in it. The thoughts, that's part of the third dimensional field I'm in. The beliefs, that's part of the third dimensional field I'm in, the matrix. And everything that you believe, every program and paradigm has been framed in some way through this matrix, through this consciousness. And a fourth dimensional field has a matrix and a fifth dimensional field has a matrix, right? So again, no right or wrong, but what matrix are you standing in most of your now moments? And can you start to recognize yourself standing in other matrices? A 4D matrix, you will find yourself observing more. When you observe yourself more in a 3D matrix, you're holding yourself in a 4D matrix. When you are in a present moment state more and more, you are experiencing yourself in a fourth dimensional matrix. When you are feeling a massive amount of heart opening and love for everything, you're standing in a fifth dimensional matrix, right? So we are slowly, and I said this in my last video, moving into these other matrices. But what is important right now energetically that a lot of us are experiencing is this need or desire to begin to really start to exit this 3D matrix while we're in it, which means we become the observer. This is going to allow us to not be so attached and connected to that which we're experiencing, which will allow ourselves to shift easier. And the second thing is about slowing down. My guides gave me pictures of all of us right now, literally just stopping, pulling over on the side of the road and just stopping, just breathing, closing our eyes, hands on the heart, hands on the solar plexus, hands on the crown, hands wherever, and breathing. Just stopping this race, this movement that we're always in. Because we're so connected to movement. We're so connected to going, doing, consistency, being, to-do lists, everything, that it is really difficult to begin to move into the higher frequencies and the other matrices when it's so loud around you. Imagine the TV being turned on, right? And the TV is so loud that you can't hear, feel, or experience anything other than the TV. And the TV is this matrix. How do you quiet the matrix so that you can exit out of it? You turn it down. How do you turn it down? You slow down. You start to learn to take moments throughout your day to quiet and slow. Whether it's walking, whether it's breathing, whether it's swimming, whatever it is, what quiets you? What slows you down in your now, and can you do it more? And this is about literally quieting everything around you. So no music, no TVs, no conversation, literally silence, even for 5 minutes. This slowing down exercise, first of all, is a desire that many of us are starting to feel that can be very uncomfortable and a little bit weird. Like, how do I just sit on my couch for 5 minutes? Try it. You know, how do I just stop, pull my car over on the side of the road and just breathe for 5 minutes? Try it. How do I shut everything off while I'm driving and just drive in my breath, with my breath, right? Starting to bring conscious awareness to slowing down and quieting everything. In the quiet, with the breath, is where you start to see it all, feel it all, experience it all. It's where the magic is. It's present moment. And then you start going again. But we've got to slow down. That's how we see what we're in. That's how we exit the denser consciousnesses that have consumed us and made us believe that this is who we are. This is how we wake up. It's that simple. There's many tools that we can do, but the simplicity of it is to just slow down and stop. Every day, stop and breathe. With nothing around you, no distractions, no noise. When you walk outside and begin your day, can you just stop right outside your door? And for 3 minutes, eyes open or closed, you just stand there and breathe. The power of that will shock you. It's that simple. That's how you become the observer. That's how you step out of the matrix while you're still in it. And you will notice if you do this more and more in this now moment, and as we're in these energies of January and the 2020 energy, it is a requirement for us to begin to start to see clearly, to see through the fog, the density, the matrix. Again, it's not a bad thing or a good thing, the matrix. It's just a dense consciousness that we are shifting out of. And we need to be aware and observe it. Oh, look at what I'm doing. Look at how I'm being. Look at what I believe. Look at the paradigms I'm in. Everything's a paradigm. There's no right and there's no wrong to any paradigm that exists in this 3D matrix. None. It all just is. It's a choice. But we have been conditioned to believe that we are these things. We are the emotions. We are the thoughts. We are the behaviors. We are the beliefs. We are the programs. We are the paradigms. We are it. We are the ego. And when we exit the matrix through conscious awareness of every now moment as much as we can, by quieting and silencing, the easier we will recognize that this is all just an experience. And you start to move. And you start to shift. Consciously, you become aware of the shifting in every now. Oops, I'm back in the 3D matrix. Look I bought into it. Oh my God, I bought into it. I was driving my car and I completely bought into the matrix. Honking and yelling and doing whatever we do in our cars or at work, right? Oh my God, I was super stressed out at work today. I was in the matrix. That's okay. 3D matrix, that's fine. It's part of being human. You want to devour and love your humanness. And at the exact same time, you want to become aware of it. So you're watching yourself get stressed out. You're watching yourself get angry. You're watching yourself create a fight with somebody in your life. You're watching it. And you're watching yourself do it, and you're saying, oh, right now, in this now moment, as I'm fighting with my boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or friend, I'm in the matrix of this 3D field. It's not who I am, but I'm playing in it. Totally okay. Can I have non-judgment around it? Can I look at it neutrally? That's it. And recognize that there are aspects of you that are in other matrices in that now moment that you're fighting. And it's okay that you're fighting. It's okay that you're 3D. It's okay that you're in the matrix. There's nothing wrong with it. Creating a dualistic field around any experience is pulling you and keeping you in the lower matrix, which is okay. Allowing yourself to experience anything without duality, only neutrality, then you can more freely start to move through the other fields. For instance, if I'm in a fight with somebody and I'm noticing myself getting angrier and angrier, I will start to see myself being angry, and I'll say, oh, I'm in this field. I'm in this matrix. I'm playing in the consciousness of it. I've done it for so long. It's so easy. I just go right into that behavior. Boom. I start to observe it and I start to exit the matrix. And when I start to exit the matrix, I find myself in another matrix. Where is that matrix? That matrix is in a fourth or fifth dimensional field. And so all of a sudden I start to breathe a little bit. And all of a sudden I start to recognize myself slowing my heart rate down. I start to recognize that this other human that I'm angry at isn't doing anything. I'm just reacting and responding. It's my choice. I'm doing this. They aren't doing anything to me. Fourth dimensional consciousness, fifth dimensional consciousness. I'm starting to step out of the 3D matrix, right? Oh, okay, got it. And so they still may be wanting to argue, right? And as I'm starting to step out of the matrix by first becoming the observer and then starting to recognize with my breath and taking a time out and a moment, okay, it's not their fault. 3D matrix tells me it's their fault. 4D matrix reminds me that I'm in charge and that I'm the creator and I have a choice. Oh yeah, that's right. 3D matrix wants to pull me back into victimhood, but I'm not a victim. I'm making a choice here, right? You start to separate your energetic fields. And then you get real clear. And then you get calm. And this takes practice. Until eventually, you're not playing necessarily in that back and forth 3D matrix with that person. And you can make that example with so many things in your life. It's not about forcing, right? Or telling yourself you're bad or you're wrong for getting in a fight. We've got to stop doing that with ourselves. We got to stop making the 3D bad, the 3D wrong. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It just is. That's it. Because when you make it wrong and like you need to be in some other state, then the ego is in charge and the ego is trying to drive you into places that it can't drive you into. It's the higher self. And what the higher self would say is, you're in a fight right now. I love you. I love them. You love them. You love you. Breathe. Pause. Step out of that consciousness and that field. Remember what's going on. Oh yeah, that's right. The higher self isn't going to say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be acting that way. You need to be acting a different way. Why are you not acting in the higher realms? Because I'm a 3D form and I'm walking in a 3D matrix and I can't help it. And I should give myself as much compassion and love for that journey and process? Maybe? Yeah, of course. Of course the higher self says, yes, I love you. You're amazing. You're a rock star. You're in that dense consciousness, in that matrix, and you're learning how to step out and observe it. So get conscious of what you're telling yourself, right? When you get into those fights or when you're in an experience that is 3D or denser than other consciousnesses. And the easiest way to move out of an experience or a matrix that you don't like is to honor it when you're in it and to love yourself while you're in it and then to become the observer of it. You step out of the matrix while you're in it. Not by telling yourself you're wrong or you're bad or you didn't do it good enough or any other thing you say. Just by observing yourself and loving yourself like, wow, Lori, look at you in that matrix. It's a tough place to be, isn't it? Yeah, it freaking is a tough place to be. Yeah. Can you breathe for a moment? Yeah. Can you stop for a second? Yeah. Can you observe for a moment? Yeah, I think I can. Okay. Now can you take a different action? Yeah, I think I can. I've moved myself into a different matrix. Just like that. And it becomes easier and easier and easier the more we practice. This is what we're doing right now. This is what we're all doing. And a huge piece of this is slowing down to do it. Slowing down to recognize. Slowing down to feel yourself in anything. What am I in? What am I experiencing? What am I feeling? What am I telling myself? We have to have that 20/20 vision now, that clarity around everything without duality. All of it. So practice, practice, practice. It's almost like everything that we've been learning in 2019 is culminating into this one moment now where we are actually practicing all of it. And we're actually now having to literally move ourselves consciously into different dimensional fields while we're still remaining in this third dimensional matrix. It's not about exiting it for good and saying goodbye, I'm never going to be here again. I don't want to be in this. It's about accepting and honoring it, because that which you resist is going to persist, right? We always hear that. That which you resist is going to persist. If you're resisting this 3D matrix and you don't want to be in this matrix, you don't want to be feeling the things you're feeling, experiencing the things you're experiencing, having the whatever you're having, then there's going to be resistance, there's going to be struggle, there's going to be suffering. Instead of surrendering to it, breathing into it, softening, having any emotion you want around it, and then starting to become the observer, which means you exit out of the matrix. You exit out of it and you watch yourself in it, and you remind yourself from that perspective that there's other aspects of you that you're moving into and that you're experiencing and will experience through your own shifting of frequency. And as you start doing this, you start to recognize those aspects. You start to feel them, and then you start to be them, which is what people would call manifestation. But you got to get out of the victimhood, I'm in this, and this is who I am mentality, which means you have to exit out of the 3D matrix while you're still in it. All right. I hope this was useful. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And sending you all so much love as we navigate these beautiful, beautiful, powerful times. I love you.